everyone, and welcome to today's installment of our roundtable discussion. We've got with us Dr. Lee Newton and Jeremy Lemire from Star Capital Management Group. On today's call, we are going to be talking about land contracts. We're going to tell you what they are, what's good about them, what's maybe not so good about them, and things you should know if you're going to consider them. Let's start with what are land contracts? And lucky for us, both Jeremy and Lee are experienced having done land contracts before. So let's start with Jeremy. Jeremy, could you tell us what a land contract is all about?
Sure. Basically, from my perspective, it's kind of another financial agreement or instrument that gets in most cases gets recorded, so that you can actually have some financial obligation and commitment from both the buyer side and the seller side, to be able to do a transaction without actually moving, if you will, the title, but allow someone else to take control of the property and start paying down and financing on that property.
So, Lee, maybe would you like to share with us how your land contract experience?
Yeah, I've always viewed land contracts as the classic real estate buy now, pay later program, or maybe better stated, buy now, pay off later program. Or from a perspective of a buyer, which I've done more of these as a buyer, maybe I don't at the particular time want to prove to a bank that I'm qualified to make a purchase. Okay. Maybe, and I've done these as sellers, maybe as a seller, I have a qualified person and their down payment is strong, their financials are okay, but their credit really isn't good enough to get a loan. So let's put the deal together. So it's another tool in the financial, the real estate investors, developers toolbox to use to get from point A to point B, whether you are a buyer or a seller.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about what Lee pointed out is that there's really two structures there. There is the kind of the buyer with the intent to occupy. So maybe the land contract is more related to the credit side. And in other cases, you could be doing a land contract with somebody as an investor, which maybe they're qualified, but they don't want to do the finance, bring the money forward. So they may perfectly well qualify, but they have a different intent, right? Where they're actually structuring it from a deferral standpoint to what Lee was talking about at the beginning.
Jeremy, so do you want to tell us about your land contract and what that you've recently done or one of that you've done and
Sure.
why you did it?
Yeah, in my particular case, I'm actually looking at I'll call it better scale in my investment portfolio. So in this particular case, I'm taking assets that I've held for anywhere, from 3 to 10 years, and I'm bundling them actually together. About 8 parcels across two different land contract deals because of the ownership structure. But we're taking those and we're bundling them into the land contract, and we're doing one for each of the entities, which will then carry those properties across the new payment schedule for the investor to actually take ownership of. My primary goal in it is ultimately to defer, if you will, the management and care of those properties so that I can stay focused on some new larger projects that I am working on, but give an opportunity to young investors to actually be able to start their investment journey without necessarily coming up with hundreds of thousands of dollars to take action on multiple properties at once.
Question, Jeremy, are you able to, in that matter, as you described, are you able to defer capital gains that way?
Yeah, so in that particular case, you can elect kind of to work both ways to take that hit right up front. In my case, I'm going to take it as an installment activity. So as they pay down the principal over a period of time, I'll be taking that hit in small chunks each year as that principal is paid back.
So the tax man cometh a little bit every year, not all at once.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, I don't have to worry about, trying to fight it all into a 1031. Still have the opportunity to use cost segregation. So I can actually use smaller projects, if you will, to defer or to eliminate the tax obligation on marginal size chunks of gains.
Yeah, that sounds like a win-win for everybody. You get to hand off all the management of the properties to somebody else who's now got an opportunity to start their business and or grow their business with a significant portfolio. You're still able to take some income along the way and get paid and the tax benefits. So that's a great example, I think, of how land contracts can do things that a traditional buy and sell transaction can't.
Yeah, and
So
this particular one, we're shooting for a 5-year term on it.
so great. So that's interesting. A 5-year land contract. That's a pretty extended period of time to have control and work on a property and grow a property and grow the value of the property for the buyer. Um, without having actually had to put up all that money now for what they'll eventually have 5 years from now. They'll be able to build a lot of equity between now and then, I would imagine, if they do it well.